Good morning, friends. Today I am going to cover about research problem, which is coming under the course Research Methodology and Statistics. This particular title is coming under Unit 1 or Module 1, termed as Introduction to Research Methods. In my lecture, I am going to cover these elements. First, we will look what is the definition for research problem, what are the criteria, how to select a research problem, what components are present in should be present in a research problem, how to formulate a research problem stepwise, and then finally, for the selected research problem, how to frame appropriate research questions. Based upon that, we will get an appropriate solution for the selected research problem. What is a research problem? Actually, a research problem is nothing but if a researcher faces or experiences a kind of difficulty in the theoretical or a practical solution. Now, this is a very general definition for a research problem because most of the time we may not go for a theoretical issue. This may be a theoretical issue, may comes under a philosophy or another kind of a social sciences sector, whereas in biological sciences or life sciences sector, we will face an issue or trouble in any practical solution, or a researcher face a problem in the experimental process, or in a very common phenomenon, or in a process, a researcher may face an issue or a problem. That is what we are telling a research problem. For that particular research problem, we have to get a measurable solution. So a difficulty which is faced by a researcher in a biological process is nothing but a research problem. Now, what sort of criteria should it satisfy? Now, before touching this area, we'll go for a general criteria which is applicable for social sciences or humanities or biological sciences, atmospheric sciences, chemical sciences, whatever it may be. Now, I have given three important criteria. If you want to say a particular factor as a research problem, it should satisfy or it should meet this particular criterion, each criterion. First one, it should have a measurable variables. So variables in the sense in biological angle, I can tell pH, temperature, pressure, role of nature of catalyst, metal ion strength. All these things can be incorporated under variables. I should have some measurable variables for a particular research problem. Then only I can provide a solution. Second one, it should have or it should possess a scope to form some objectives because without framing or without formulating an objective, you cannot find a solution for the problem. So the problem should provide a way for a researcher to frame some measurable objectives also. Third one, for that selected objectives, it should have a selected outcome, or for the selected objective, a researcher should find some appropriate solution. This is very important. So the general criteria which should be possessed by any research problem is it should have a measurable variable. We should able to form some objectives. For the framed or formulated objectives, a researcher should be able to provide some solution. So these three things are very important, or these 3 points you can say as a general criteria for a research problem. Now we'll go for here. We will take a biological research problem, for example, severe adverse effects posed by synthetic drugs. So in day-to-day life, we are using many type of allopathic drugs, which could be synthetic or semi-synthetic. It is seldom we'll go for a natural drug. So when we consume a synthetic or semi-synthetic drug, it may cause severe side effects. to a biological system, to an in vivo system. So the problem is severe adverse effects or severe side effects posed by synthetic or semi-synthetic drug. Now, if we take this as a research problem, what should be the specific criteria for the selected problem? How we can frame or how we can define? You can see the structure of the drug could be one criteria. We should know the structure of the drug, which possess unusual atoms like chlorine, fluorine, etc. The nature of polarity, whether the drug is strongly polar or it is non-polar or it is amphipathic in nature. Usually, most of the drugs will be non-polar in nature. So I can say severity of non-polar, I should know, or a researcher should know. Physicochemical variables, any researcher should focus the physicochemical variable of the drug what he or she has taken for his or her study, say relative molecular weight, hydrophobic index, dissolution capacity in the GI tract, because the physicochemical variables play a major role in the diffusion of drug across the biomembrane. So now this is the general criteria, but when you go for a very specific biological problem, for the selected problem, you have to frame some criteria. You have to sort out or you have to write down the specific criteria, or in other words, what specific angle you should know for the selected problem. That is very important. Say if I say adverse effects posed by synthetic drug, I should know the structure of the drug, I should know the polarity nature, I should know the controllable physicochemical variables. Right? Now this is a very specific criteria for a selected biological problem. Third thing, components. Now the list will go on. You can see the list is going on. Components of research problem. What are the components? Should have alternate ways for identification and formulation of a problem. I should have different ways to identify and formulate a research problem. That is, I can conduct a preliminary experimental analysis. So based upon the results of the preliminary experimental analysis or first stage experimental analysis, that is wet lab analysis, that is one way, that is one good way where I can formulate and identify the right research problem. After investigating, after conducting a very simple experiment, I can reframe or I can refine a research problem. So experimental analysis is one way. I can go for an interview. I can interview few persons. I can circulate questionnaire as a hard copy through email. I can discuss. I can go for an exhaustive literature survey. I can discuss with my friends. Based upon that, I can frame a research problem. So a research problem, identification and formulation of research problem should not be in a one way. There should be multiple ways where I can frame or I can finalize a research problem. So framing or formulation or identification of a research problem can be done in multiple ways. It has to provide alternate ways. That is very important. Second thing, it should have a very clear and clarified statement. Right? You have to frame the research problem in a very simple language. At the same time, the powerful words what you have phrased in such a way that it should express the gravity or magnitude of the selected problem. It should clearly express the need. The third thing, it should possess some measurable variables. Always any research problem should have some solution. You have to end up with solution. Now how to end up, how to tell that I have provided, I have find out some appropriate solution, again through some mathematical values. So you have to convert or you have to express your solution only through some mathematical values. You have to conduct some experimental analysis and you have to express the response only through some mathematical values. So there should be some measurable objectives. I should provide the solution for a particular research problem through some measurable objectives, not an extrapolated or imaginable objectives. That is not suitable for any biological problem. So I should have some measurable objectives. Finally, it should have a visible environment where the problem exists. So if it is in a food sector, it is the food industry where the problem exists, either in pre-processing or in processing or in post-processing, where exactly the problem exists. That should be clearly found by a researcher. Through, again, I have meant so many ways, through experimental preliminary experimental analysis, through questionnaire, or through some other ways. A researcher should find exactly where the problem exists. The environment should be very clear. You can take food industry, you can take a defense, you can take environment, you can take healthcare, whatever be the industry. You have to exactly fix where the problem exists. Very simple. In at what stage? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, where exactly your problem exists. So now these are all the components of a research problem. Now, how to select a research problem? This task is very difficult. Of course, most of the time, even a researcher doesn't know exactly whether it is a problem or not. That is the pity thing. Most of the time, we will face like that. So, selecting or identifying a research problem is the biggest task. It is a difficult task. So how we can done? The first way is through exhaustive literature survey. You have to make a very thorough literature survey for at least say 20 to 25 years. Literature should be digged out. You have to dug for the selected problem. So exhaustive literature survey may help you a lot. Second point, you can go for a very length and breadth brainstorming session with domain related friends. You should not discuss the context what you have selected to a layman or to an unknown person who is whose domain of interest or whose domain of expertise is totally different. Or in other words, there is no use in discussing biological problem with a social science person. You may get a spark in a very different dimension, but not for the problem what you want to frame, or the problem what you want to frame it, or the problem what you understood. So that could be understood in a very different manner by a social science person. So you can go for an exhaustive discussion with domain related friends. You can do it. So you will get some valuable ideas. Finally, this is very important. It is the research supervisor or guide who can give you lot of inputs, lot of ideas, and you can refine those ideas, and finally you can fix. So the best way is, out of these three, the best way is you can discuss with your guide with some idea. You should not go to your guide, to your research supervisor in a very crude manner. You have to do some pre-work. You have to do this literature survey. You have to discuss with your friends, and you have to sort out few ideas, and then you have to discuss with the research supervisor for the ideas what already you have framed. Now finally, research supervisor or guide will give you valuable ideas, or he will reframe all the ideas what you have put forth in front of your guide. So this could be the best way to finalize a problem. So what points should be considered by the researcher during selecting a problem? When you say this is the research problem, what points you have to consider? You have to consider all these points. Then only you have to say yes, this is the real research problem. If there is sufficient documentation, or it is overdone, right? For example, alpha amylase inhibition. If I want to do alpha amylase inhibition, alpha amylase is a good enzyme which is secreted by saliva and pancreas. And if you inhibit this enzyme, starch hydrolysis will be inhibited, and thereby concentration of glucose in the blood will be drastically decreased, or elevation of or increase of blood glucose can be effectively controlled by inhibiting amylase. Usually we will inhibit pancreatic amylase. Suppose you want to inhibit pancreatic amylase, the inhibitors you decided to go for some plant-based inhibitors. You have the condition is you have to select a plant. That is the problem. Assume that you have selected, say, for example, um, guava seeds. Guava seeds. Guava in Tamil it is nothing but koyapalam. Guava seeds or guava fruit. Assume it is guava fruit. You know, guava fruit is prevalent. Even you can think the very prevalent fruit, and many physicians are even recommending if any diabetic persons can consume guava in a very restricted way, limited manner. They should not consume banana, but they can go for guava. Or other words, even you can go for sigenium. I hope in Tamil it is naval padam, naval seeds, sigenium. You know, these are all common, prevalent. You can expect a very good research documentation about amylase inhibitory effect in these seeds or in these plants, right? So sufficient documentation is there for the selected problem. Amylase inhibition is the selected problem, and for the selected problem, if sufficient documentation is available in the literature, we have to we should not select. We have to prune it. Overdone or sufficient documentation for a particular problem, for a particular selected problem is available means you should not select it. Controversial subject. Assume that one controversial subject I can speak over here is Helicobacterium pylori. This debate is going on even say 2 to 3 decades. This debate is going on whether Helicobacter pylori is responsible for causing gastric cancer. Helicobacter pylori is responsible for causing gastric ulcer. You know, there could be many ways and means for causage of gastric ulcer or gastric cancer, but really still now we don't know whether Helicobacter pylori is responsible. And again we cannot push the statement, no, Helicobacter pylori is not responsible, not like that. Still the debate is going on, we don't know. Partially people are agreeing Helicobacter pylori is responsible, partially people are not agreeing. Now this debate still it is going on. Such a kind of controversial uh, subject or context should not be taken for research problem, and here the tenure is very important. Say within a year or within 2 years you want to complete something, for that you should not take this type of controversial subject. This is tenure based issue. Suppose 15 years I'm going to work in a particular area for another 15 to 20 years. Yes, well and good, you can take a Helicobacter pylori, but not for this simple matter. You are going to earn a degree, say an MPhil or an MTech or a PhD. The tenure is very short. For that, this controversial subject should not be selected usually. Narrow or unclear problem. Again, you can take the same issue. Narrow or unclear. I don't know whether Helicobacter pylori is going to create a gastric ulcer or not. If I want to make a very concrete solution, I have to work for another 15 to 20 years. It's a big project, right? So, narrow, unclear problem, partial problem should not be selected, and the content should be very familiar and feasible in terms of execution. So there should be very clear methodology should be available. Spectroscopic analysis, gravimetry analysis, or universally accepted analysis should be available for the selected problem. So the content should be very familiar, and it should be feasible in terms of execution. We have to dig the national and global scenario, how people are looking that particular research problem. That is very important. Qualification and expertise, right? We have to give the right research project for an undergrad student. For postgrad, we have to give a different problem. For doctoral student, we have to give a different problem. So qualification does matter. We should not overload an undergrad, but moderately we can overload a postgrad. Whereas a doctoral student may have at least 3 to 4 years. So a very good sizable problem can be given to a doctoral student. So qualification and expertise. Qualification and expertise, they are interlinked with each other. They are interrelated with each other. It is directly proportional, I can say. That is very important. Yes, of course, cost, time duration, and if you want to conduct any preliminary study to emphasize or to make sure that the selected research problem is 100% right, you can go for a preliminary study, or otherwise these angles, these dimensions may be looked upon in the selection of a research problem. This is under the bird's view of a researcher. After the criteria and other thing, say here we have identified, we have selected in a very broader way. Now how in micro level analysis, how to formulate a problem. Step 1, so identification of a broad field. First you decide in what field you want to fix it. I want to formulate a research problem in fermentation technology, natural products, biochemical engineering, computational biology, bioinformatics, broad chemical engineering, downstream processing, upstream processing. Which area you want to select? You select the broad area. You dissect the broad area. In the next slide, I have given an example. Right? You create, you dissect, you crisscross into small sub areas. Third step, in the sub area, you find the subdomain. Right? After finding the subdomain in the selected sub area, you formulate the research questions, right, which may seal the gap. And research questions will help you to form the research objectives. After formulating the research objectives from the research questions, you can analyze the feasibility and working tenure. That is very important. We should not fix multiple objectives. I am seeing students framing some 10 objectives for 3 months study period. That is not right. You have to fix a for a month. If you fix one objective for 3 months, it could be three objectives. Only three objectives are possible. How we can do 10 objectives? So framing objectives, after framing objectives, research objectives, you have to analyze whether that can be done within a stipulated time period. That is very important. So if a researcher is unable to fix it, the best way is to discuss the supervisor. Research supervisor will provide you some very good clarified refined objectives. He or she will help you to fix or to reframe or to refine or to cut short the number of objectives. So in a very easy manner, you can complete the research project within stipulated time period. After this, you double check, freeze the objectives, and then you start investigating the problem to find an apt solution. I want to focus step 2. This is very important because selection of sub area is very important, right? Say natural product is the broad area. I have decided to work under natural products. If after taking this decision, I have to fix the biological resources, whether I want to work in a plant, or I want to work in a marine organism, or I want to work in microbial sources, fungal sources, bacterial sources, plant, microbial, marine. You fix. This could be sub area. So the area will be natural product. Sub area will be these things. Even under the sub area, that is plant, even you can decide which area you want to work, which part you want to work, vegetables, fruits, bark, stem, root, seeds, which you select it. Even if you go for a microbial sources, here I have not shown. You can select fungal species or bacterial species or archaea, whatever you want, you select it. Marine sources, multiple genus are there. You select. You select the coastal area, southern coastal area, right? Where exactly you want to work. The coastal areas surrounded in Bay of Bengal, coastal areas surrounded in Arabian Sea, or you want to work in a very different coastal areas where you want to work. You fix it. You fix the marine sources. So this is the subdomain. This is area. This is sub area or subdomain. This is a subdomain. After then you select. I have selected vegetable. Okay. I have selected fruit. Whatever it may be. Then I have to select which metabolites. I want to work in alkaloid or polyphenol or tannin or oligosaccharide, or even I want to work in a protein. Which molecular category I have to work, that should be decided. That is very important. After making a very clear cut decision, right, and then you go for specific applications. Based upon this only, you have to frame a research problem, right? So, very simple. Identify the broad area domain, go for a sub area, and from sub area even you can go for a subdomain. After selecting the subdomain, you form research questions, which is basis for formulation of research objectives. Reframe the research objectives through proper analysis, and then you freeze the objectives, and then you can go for investigation of the problem. These are the steps which you have to, or any researcher should focus for formulating a research problem. After formulating the research problem, you have to go for the research questions. This can be done either you can frame the questions and then you can frame the objective, or you can frame the objective and then you can frame the research questions. This depends upon the this is coming under the purview of a researcher, right? Vice versa, you can do it. So an objective can be again it can be dissected into two ways: main objectives or subject sub objectives. Or otherwise, very simple, you can tell long term objectives and short term objectives, long goal objectives or short goal objectives. Say main objective, this could be the overall statement. Sub objective, from the overall objective you can fragment into multiple small objectives. So I have discussed in the next, say for example, in a biological problem, investigation of anti-diabetic property of hibiscus. If this is the main objective, overall study for another 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, this could be my aim, scope, a single objective: investigation of anti-diabetic property. Based upon this, you create sub objectives. You see, sub objectives, that should relate with your main objective. It is nothing but fragmentation of your main objective. So, anti-diabetic property, this is the main objective. So how I can study, how I can investigate anti-diabetic property? Through alpha glucosidase inhibitory property. This is one element of your anti-diabetic property. Antioxidant is one element of anti-diabetic. Anti-glycation is one element. Antimicrobial against diabetic foot ulcer. This could be one element coming under anti-diabetic. Finally, you can end up with experimental animals. You can induce diabetes by using aloxan. This is a very famous drug. You can induce and you can study the anti-diabetic property in an experimental animal, in an in vivo model. So here you see they are related with each other. Investigation of anti-diabetic. You can write anti-diabetic property. Anti-diabetic property is connected. First, I can study the in vitro alpha glucosidase inhibitory activity. I can see whether my plant extract or marine extract or fungal extract or bacterial extract, whatever it may be, whether it possesses alpha glucosidase inhibitory effect. I can look, I can analyze. After confirming this is the basic backbone. After establishing the alpha glucosidase inhibitory effect, I can go for antioxidant, because in diabetes, free radicals will be generated due to glycation. So, anti-glycation and antioxidant are interlinked with each other. You can look for antioxidant property. If your selected plant extract or marine extract, whatever it is, if it possesses a very significant antioxidant activity, you can go for anti-glycation. You can support. You can link alpha glucosidase inhibitor with anti-glycation property. And this chronic diabetes, prolonged diabetes, chronic diabetes may lead to diabetic foot ulcer. So you can study, because diabetic foot ulcer is mainly caused by bacterial pathogens, exclusively streptococcal, staphylococcal, pseudomonas. These set of species are dangerous pathogens. They have been documented for causing diabetic foot ulcer. So you can link, if your plant extract possesses alpha glucosidase, look whether it is having antioxidant, look whether it is having anti-glycation, look whether it is having diabetic foot ulcer causing pathogen controlling effects. Finally, these are all in vitro. Any in vitro study, when you document any in vitro study, people will not agree. You have to investigate the same effect under a biological system. So you have to end up with in vivo studies. This is preclinical, sorry, clinical. These are all preclinical. This is clinical study under experimental animal. Finally, I have not lengthened here. This is experimental animal. You can choose Vista rat or albino rat or whatever it is. Finally, you have to exercise all these things using a human beings. You have to go for a human model. What that is, this is animal ethical committee. You have to clear animal ethical committee. Here you have to select human volunteers. Then you have to go for a human ethical committee. Then only a drug will be launched. It will take 15 to 20 years. So the research objectives should be very clear. First, you have to do glucose inhibitory effect. This should be the first objective. Second objective, do antioxidant. Third, do anti-glycation, do antimicrobial, do in vivo studies. Say, according to time duration, even you can cut at least these two. So I'm not having enough time. Yes, you do alpha glucosidase inhibitory effect. This is a very strong proof that your plant possesses good anti-diabetic activity, because the problem is anti-diabetic. Now here you have established it is having good anti-diabetic property, right? Then you go for antioxidant, and then at least you can jump the in vivo studies. This is one dimension. Even I can frame another dimension. I have not reflected here. This is one dimension. So formulation of research objectives means each and every objective should be interlinked with each other. I can even create another interlink for same anti-diabetic. I can create multiple interlinks. Everything depends upon the time, duration, tenure of your projects. Very simple. Here you can see a plant. Select the right plant. This is, you can see, investigation of in vitro anti-urolithic property of purified polyphenols from selected medicinal plants to inhibit renal calculi. Now again, this is a study which we undertook 5 years back, probably, and we published a paper in current traditional medicine. Now again, the problem is synthetic drugs pose severe side effects. So we carefully investigated. We looked for some natural molecules which may pose a very, very, very minimal side effects or nil side effects. That is the solution. So for the selected problem, we we very carefully investigated a few plants. From those screened plants, that is, we went for an extraction process. We extracted the materials, phytoconstituents from all the selected plants. right? So extraction could be the first step. From the extraction, you can see polyphenol. That is the target analyte. We went for a very good laser light scattering technique. This is like UV visible. We used laser light. With the help of laser light, we quantify the polyphenols. So based upon the quantification, we pruned or we eradicated a few plant samples. We didn't work. So in that way, your laser light scattering technique is very much helpful. Based upon this quantification, you can eradicate. We have eradicated, and then finally, under in vitro conditions, for the selected plant extract, we investigated the renal calculi inhibition. Renal calculi is nothing but stone aggregation. It's nothing but a renal stone, kidney stone. And then we looked for the presence of polyphenols by using TLC analysis. We purified using chromatography, preparative thin layer and column chromatography, right? Again, under purified sample, we used purified eluate. We investigated the efficacy of purified polyphenols to inhibit the renal calculus, and even we found what molecules are present in the purified lot and what molecules are responsible for inhibiting the renal calculi formation. So these are all linked with each other. Selection of plant source, selection of right extraction method, selection of right quantification method, selection of suitable in vitro method to study the renal calculi inhibition, a selection of right chromatography method, selection of right mass spectrometry method to identify the type of a polyphenol which is present. So everything is linked with each other. What we are telling is a graphical abstract, right? And finally, you can see alpha glucosidase inhibitory activity. If this is my objective, you can ask which solvent extract shows an optimal inhibitory activity. You have to go for different type of solvent extraction. Which extraction method could be efficient? Either microwave extraction, ultrasonation mediated extraction, and or hot water extraction, pressurized hot water extraction, cold percolation method. Which method? Shake flask method. Which extraction method could be efficient? And if proteins are also, you know, protein, even protein moieties can inhibit alpha glucosidase. If I'm interested in polyphenol, then I have to remove the protein crosstalk. So how to remove the protein crosstalk? And obviously, which method should be selected for estimation, right? Many methods would have been prescribed to quantify polyphenol, or many methods would have been explained to investigate alpha glucosidase inhibitory effect. So many methods. There could be fluorimetry method, there could be UV method, there could be visible spectroscopy method. So very carefully I have to select the right method. So either you can put all the questions and then you can frame objective, or the better way, you frame objective, you put all the questions, you try to answer all the questions, you have to get only single answer, right? So and you collate all the answer where you will get solution for this particular objective, right? So thank you, thanks a lot. uh, this is a very a dry topic, and if you are interested in research, this could be interesting or it could be a boring one also. So in many textbook you can see the authors would have written or they would have defined research problem, criteria, selection in their own domain of expertise. A social science professor will describe in his or her expertise. A chemical science professor will explain the research problem in his domain. I have explained the same research problem in biological domain. So there is no prescribed textbook for this. You have to understand the context and you have to interpret in your own domain, in your own language. So thank you, thanks a lot. And if there is again any queries, I'm so happy to answer either through mail or through virtual online interaction. Thank you. Thanks a lot.